Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV. What you're about to experience is a free, worldwide interactive broadcast from Ontario, Canada. We broadcast live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Get your questions in. Join the community chat room at www.category5.tv or email us at live@category5.tv. And now, let's begin. Here's your host, Robbie Ferguson.
It is Tuesday, November the 8th.
I'd go with 8th. 2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. This is episode number 216. I'm Robbie Ferguson.
I'm Eric Kidd. And here's what's coming up in the newsroom. A sophisticated virus has exploited a previously unknown issue in Microsoft Windows. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is out, and Google Plus pages are now available. And a Canadian study reveals that automated identity theft is a reality on Facebook. So stick around. These stories and others are coming up later in the show.
Sounds like interesting bits of news.
Indeed, it will be.
Automated identity theft. I don't like the sounds of that. We have a very special guest. Eran Farajun is joining us from Asigra tonight. We're going to be talking about cloud backups and all the stuff that surrounds the cloud and backing up your data to the cloud. I've got lots of questions for Eran. I'm sure you've got some as well. If you've ever wondered, what is this cloud? What is it that, what can it do for me? Stick around. We're going to be talking to him in just about 2 minutes. In the meantime, I want to mention that we do have our mobile site. I'll encourage you to scan that code. That code will actually launch the mobile site on your device. And you can also visit mobile.cat5.tv. You can watch the show live if you've got an iPhone 4, if you've got an iPod Touch, and some other devices will support the live broadcasting through the mobile site. But also, you can watch shows after the fact if you want to head over there on your mobile, mobile.cat5.tv. Eric, how you been?
I have been well.
Yeah?
I've been doing all right.
Yeah.
I'm still walking and talking and sucking air, so I got nothing to complain about.
That's all you need. All you
Yes,
need.
indeed.
Yeah. And you keeping busy? I want to talk to you tonight about gigging and stuff. I was thinking about how, because I don't get to see Eric play as much as I'd like.
I send out a little tweet and say, hey, I'm playing down at this little pub or that little
But
pub.
he usually does it
Robbie
5 minutes
says,
before.
Oh, I'm all hunkered down. I'm sitting on the couch. I got a bottle of, whatever.
Pop.
And, I'm sitting with my sweetie and watching a movie.
That's what happens.
Fine. Okay.
He waits until 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and then he tweets, I'm jamming down at such and such a place. And I'm like, oh, I wish I knew. We need to get you set up with like a Google Calendar or something like that. So
Spontaneity isn't working for you, huh?
It could, but not in a case where it's a Friday night at 9 o'clock and you're gigging, and I want to come see you.
Yeah.
And I'll stand there and do the harmonies for you or something like that.
Okay.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Bring down your tin whistle.
There you go. Bring my low D. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll add some Celtic flair. Tonight we are joined by Eran Farajun. Eran, it is just fantastic to have you joining us tonight. And Eran joins us from Asigra down in Toronto. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here. Thanks a lot, Robbie.
Yeah, could you just tell us a little bit about what Asigra is? For those, just imagine that the viewers have not ever heard of your company. What is it that you do?
Sure. Asigra's been in business 26 years, always in the same industry vertical market segment. It's basically a software company. It makes backup and recovery software that's specifically designed to enable cloud backup and recovery services. So we work with hundreds and hundreds of service providers all over the world, and
Right.
there are hundreds of thousands of customers and end users, millions of them all over the world that back up to many different clouds all over the world in different countries on every continent.
Now you say
Well,
26
except
years. 26
Yeah.
years, but the cloud was not, as far as I understand, kind of out there 26 years ago. So how did you get your start, and what kind of... You would have seen the cloud in its very, very early form, I'm sure.
Right. Right. You know what? It wasn't called the cloud many, many years ago. I think cloud is in the last 2-3 years. It's a word or a name that's been associated with. A long time ago, it was called televaulting or electronic vaulting.
Okay.
Or and service providers, or cloud service providers as they're called today, used to be called, get ready for the old word, service bureaus.
Service bureaus.
1970s, 1980s word. So yeah, that's what they were called, and but it was literally doing what's happening today, moving data, protecting it from where the data is kept off-site to a more secure location.
Very good. Eran, Eric is going to kind of keep an eye on the chat room here for you. And if viewers have a question for Eran about the cloud, about cloud backups, feel free to relay those to Eric Kidd in the chat room, and he'll do his best to get those on. How would you define the cloud? I think there's a lot of people it's hard to grasp when we're used to our own computer storing our data. Our laptop would be where our photos are. Our desktop computer has its own set of files. Maybe we back up. But then all of a sudden, like you say, about 3 years ago, this word the cloud popped out. And how does that relate to an end user? And even I find in the industry, you're finding that I'm sure it just seems that there's a little bit of almost a hesitation when it comes to the cloud, because people have this fear of, well, where are my files? So as somebody in the industry, I would love to hear from you firsthand as to what the cloud is.
Like, where are they and how secure are they?
Yeah. Okay. So, there's a couple of questions there. I'll try to tackle them one by one. Maybe go backwards. How secure are they? I think they're as secure as the underlying technologies, the infrastructure that makes them. So there are clouds that are more, and there are clouds that are less secure. It really depends on the, again, the infrastructure and honestly the folks that manage them, behind the curtains, the wizards behind the curtains. Another one of your questions, what is the cloud? It's basically computing resources that are remote to you, so that you don't have to buy them and own them. You just get to use them, and you use them through, the internet connection that you're used to at home. And you can, store your data up there. You can leverage various types of applications. If you're, if the audience has a smartphone, they're looking at apps and running the apps and working with them, and they're in a quote unquote cloud. Happens to be, either the Android cloud or the Apple cloud or whatever. But it's basically compute resources far away from you remotely. And it's called a cloud, I think, because it's a way to make things simple. You don't really need to know how everything is working necessarily in the background, or you may not want to know.
Yeah.
So cloud is this word that keeps things sometimes opaque. But not knowing, what's going on behind the scenes is not always the best. You sometimes do want to know if you are running important applications. You want your cloud provider to tell you, hey, what's going on behind the curtain.
And do you find that basically the companies in Canada are as well versed at what the cloud is and as, say, in America or other parts of the world?
Yeah, so I think from a cloud provider perspective, we've got very sophisticated cloud service providers in Canada. I think from the audience or the consumers, and when I say consumers, it doesn't necessarily mean, an individual person. It could be small, medium businesses, medium and large businesses as well. It's those leveraging cloud technologies. I think Canadians are more, they use the cloud for very unique, distinct things that are easy to do and adopt. They're reluctant to go kind of all in the cloud, very few and far in between. It's tough to make generalizations, and you're always careful when you do so. But I think with Americans, you see a lot more of them are more inclined to kind of, I'm all in the cloud. I'm going to do everything through the cloud, or as much as I can. Whereas Canadians are like, this is still fairly new. It's only 1, 2, 3 years old for me. I'm going to try to do, specific things like backup or like my CRM or contact management, or I'm going to do, cloud email through Gmail or Hotmail or whatever.
Yeah.
So and then when they like it and they adopt it and they start to see that they get comfortable with it, then they do another thing and another thing, and then, over time they get more and more used to it. But they're not like all in. Americans tend to be like, wow, this is cool, I'm going all in.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, that's what I think the difference is. They're more, I think Canadians are maybe more prudent about it. They want to get more comfort level. So that's what
we're a very cautious people. Yeah. I think we're a very cautious people.
I think a lot of people's first step into that would be something like the Hotmail type.
Yeah, perhaps. Like you say, Gmail.
Yeah,
I had mentioned even earlier in the show about using Google Calendar, which is kind of a form of a rudimentary cloud from the consumer standpoint. Obviously, it is quite a bit part of the cloud. But what would drive a company, Eran, to say it's critical that we get our data into the cloud? We perhaps already have an on-site backup. Maybe we already have some form of SFTP or rsync backup that goes off-site. So what drives us to need to put our data into the cloud?
Right. Well, there's a couple of different, drivers. And some of them are I've already got, there's very few, as we call, backup virgins out there, if I can use that phrase, like people that don't have any kind of, even if it's just a simple USB drive that they copy their data to, at least they've got some kind of copy. So there's very few people, I don't think I've ever met anybody that doesn't have any kind of backup in any way. So what happens is eventually they run along and they have a data loss event, or they're not able to restore data that they thought they could or something. And that kind of triggers this, well, what's a better way of doing this? And then they go and they research, and then they find out that they don't have to buy the technology. They don't have to be owners of technology. They can just be users of technology. And there's geniuses out there that are managing the back end for them. They're making it very easy for them to send their data consistently, securely, and they can kind of put the burden or the responsibility onto a service that they know will always be up, will always be able to recover the data for them if they need it. They don't have to worry about it as much.
So I'm getting the sense, like, does it have also to do with sharing resources with other users? Is that part of what the cloud represents?
Yeah, it's multi-tenancy. So when you buy, your own resources and you own the technology, you've got to consume the cost of all that technology on your own. When you're leveraging a cloud service, it's what's called multi-tenanted. It's like a hotel. Everybody's in one building, but everybody's got their own room. And so you get to syndicate the cost of all that technology across many users, and everybody pays a finite portion, but it's still secure. One guy can't see anybody else's data and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it's lower costs.
Okay.
Very cool.
Now, a couple of folks are kind of concerned, on, I don't know how your service provider is, but, every once in a while, I can't get on the internet, and I need my data. What do I do?
Right. So that's why a prudent a cloud backup solution doesn't only depend on the cloud. It's really, sometimes it's called a hybrid cloud, where you've got some of your data locally on your site, because even if your cloud backup service provider, is running a Cray in the back end and everything is wonderful and it's all supercomputer and all that business, it could just be some guy in the wrong backhoe and he takes out the internet and you're done. So the prudent thing to do is to keep a couple of versions or a couple of generations of your data locally on your site, and obviously that same data offsite, but you keep a lot of your older stuff offsite as well. So in the event you do get disconnected from the internet and you do lose some data locally, you're able to recover the last 1, 2, 3 or something like that generations, or maybe the last 2, 3 weeks. The studies in the industry are kind of like more than 80-85% of the time when users want to restore data, it's typically data that's less than or up to 72 hours old, like they created today, yesterday, the day before.
Accidentally deleted a file or something like that.
Exactly.
Happens all the time.
Exactly. It's the fat finger syndrome. I clicked the wrong thing. And
Or a hard drive crashed and it's gone.
I suppose now I'm a firm believer in redundancy, Eran, and having my data in more than one place, and I think our viewers get that from the show and understand that we want to have data not just on our computer. So if a hard drive crashes, I have a local copy, but then I also have that offsite or cloud copy of my data, because what happens if I have a hard drive crash... We've seen
the tears at the data recovery lab when people come in with... These are this is the only copy I have of all my family photos, all my, my wedding pictures, and... you really do want to have...
So if we have that local copy, then if internet goes down, we still have access to it. But then if we have a fire or some kind of natural disaster, nice to have that backup that's off-site. So is the cloud really all about backups?
You know what? It's not all about backups. Backup is one of the top 1 or 2 kind of use cases of cloud or remote computing resources, cloud. It's like the top 1 or 2 use cases, storage and backup into the cloud, because it's so simple and it's so cost effective and it's something that you got to do anyway. It's kind of like the poor man's DR. A real DR solution, you're going to have all the different binders about who does what on what day in the event we have a data loss event, but at least having a copy of your data. So and then having a copy is kind of the first step. The other step is you got to be able to recover it within what's called a recovery point and a recovery time objective. So even if I've got all my data, it's in the cloud, and I lose my files, and geez, it's going to take me now 3 weeks to get access to my files. That might not be, while I've got a copy, it might not be, acceptable to me to wait 3 weeks to get it. So it's got to be within like a reasonable recovery time objective that I can restore data, right? It's not enough just to have a copy offsite.
Right. Eran, that kind of makes me think about selecting the company that I would want to host my cloud, because it's not just the cloud. There are many different companies that are providing this service. So speaking of that, you need to know that the company is accessible, I would assume. I mean, you've got to be able to get your files if there's a crash like you're saying. But how would you suggest that our viewers go about finding and selecting a company to host their cloud information?
Right. So I think, there's a couple of things they need to look into. I think that one of the main ones is to look for a cloud service provider that has, if you're a business, it's got segment specialization, so it understands your business. It's going to show you references, and if you're a medical or a healthcare related business, it'll say, here, look, these are my 20, 30, 50, 100, 1,000, whatever other companies like yours in your industry segment that I do business with, and you can call them up and here are the references. So you want to work with somebody that they kind of understand your business. Right. I think the second thing is you want to make sure that your service provider doesn't create some kind of lock-in for you, because if you don't like them, think of your cloud backup service provider almost like a bank. If we're all in Canada here, if I don't like the Royal Bank of Canada, that's my bank. I can go to them and I can say, okay, wire my money to TD or wire my money to another bank or to whoever. Yeah. And if I don't like any bank, guess what? I get to go down the street with my wheelbarrow, take all my money out, and put it underneath my mattress. So you got to look out for somebody that doesn't get cloud lock-in. It allows what's called data portability or data mobility. Another analogy we use to explain that is if your cell phone, you got a number, and if you don't like your cell phone provider, you can keep your number but go to another network provider. So my point is that these are something like an off-ramp. They all make it very easy to get onto their cloud. You got to think about how easy it is for me to change my cloud to another cloud if I don't like you, if I don't like your services, if I don't like your pricing, that kind of stuff. Right. So that's other things to consider. And then you want to look for somebody, that's got credibility, references, they're secure. They've got some third-party certificate around security. It's not just they say it's secure, but somebody's actually audited them and and said, wow, you guys have implemented cloud security correctly and it can't be defeated. Well, everybody's got encryption. The question is, have they implemented encryption correctly? So there's lots of locks on lots of doors, but have those locks actually been installed by a qualified locksmith, or have they just been somebody that went down to Home Depot and just installed it with 4 screws and it's easy to defeat? That's the kind of stuff that your users should be looking for. Security, segment specialization or familiarity with your business type and your requirements, your industry. You might have compliance requirements that are special to your business, and also some kind of, not only an on-ramp, they're going to talk all about that, but also an off-ramp. Those are kind of important things to think about.
Okay, we are speaking with Eran Farajun from Asigra in Toronto, Ontario, and I'd invite you to get your questions into the chat room, category5.tv. It's Category 5 on Freenode, and we will be right back with Eran and some questions right after this.
Whether hitting the road or the dusty trails, Liquid Image Canada captures the action with a true point-of-view HD video camera built directly into a high-quality MX goggle. It records every bit of the excitement exactly how you see it. If high octane isn't your thing, take a relaxing underwater adventure and capture it forever in high-definition video with a high-quality underwater camera mask from Liquid Image Canada. Perfect for the enthusiast snorkeler or the deep-sea diver. Check out the entire line of camera masks for every sport. liquidimagecanada.com.
This is Category 5 Technology TV, and you'll find us online, www.category5.tv. This evening we're talking to Eran Farajun from Asigra, which is a backup software developer from Toronto, Ontario. And Eran, it's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks again.
Cheers. And now, Eric was just mentioning that you had some questions in the chat room, and a lot of them surround different available options. And while I don't necessarily want to get directly into specifics, unless there are some suggestions that you have, Eran, I'd like to know a little bit about. Now, we talked about how you could go about selecting, but how does your software relate to this cloud, and are there resources, for example, that we can use to find these particular trusted, secure service providers that you, as the developer, would recommend?
Right. So, I mean, there are many good service providers, and by all means, I don't only want to talk about and say that, only Asigra-powered service providers are only the good ones. There's lots, right? I mean, but if you're looking for one that's specifically powered by Asigra, you go to Google and you type in, powered by Asigra service provider, and you'll see, lots of them. We have many, many partners all over the world on every continent, and pretty much wherever there's a stock exchange, there are lots of Asigra service providers. Your last question was, what's another good thing to look for? It's also a good thing to look for a service provider that may be local within your jurisdiction. There are many businesses that require their data to stay within their jurisdiction. They can't back up their data or have any of it stored in another, jurisdiction. What's called data sovereignty challenges. So,
interesting.
You might look at a service provider. They might look really great and offer a wonderful service, and that might be wonderful. But guess what? They don't have a cloud or infrastructure in your jurisdiction.
Are there geographical limitations to that? Like, I was thinking about how here in Canada we have very specific privacy laws that are very strict as far as the storage of customer data. And so it makes me think, if I were to host my cloud in the States, am I less secure than if I were hosting it here in Canada based on those laws? So when you're saying what you were just saying, it makes me wonder if there are geographical borders to our basically the security of our cloud.
Right. You know what? I don't know that it would be less secure, because the data would be fully encrypted, and that service provider in the United States might have awesome security, and there are some there that are have wonderful security. I think it's more about, it's not that you're less secure. You might be breaching some local Canadian.
Yeah, like what are the local rules?
Right. Yeah, and that may be something. Eric brings up a good point, Eran, and I wonder if there are, and you may know the answer to this, but are there geographic rules that say that I cannot host my backups in Europe, for example? Is that anything that you know about, or is there a resource? Or that's probably something that we could Google, obviously. Google.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, the first thing is, I'm not going to kind of dispense legal advice here, but I think there are specific laws in Canada that the Canadian government doesn't want you to put Canadian consumer information, like we have what's called PIPEDA, which, protects personal information in Canada. And they don't want you to take Canadians and their credit cards and store them in different jurisdictions, or they don't really want your doctor to take your medical records and store them in some other jurisdiction where some other government can kind of begin to affect it with their laws. They really want you to put it in Canada because you're a Canadian citizen. So there absolutely are rules and regulations about which kind of data has to be kept in Canada. If it's related to consumers and citizens of this country. If you're a business, you can, for the most part, keep your own information where you like, as long as it's not consumers' information.
And of course, there could be local laws,
right? I mean,
in
if
other
you
areas
store
as well.
it in another country, can that government decide, hey, we own this now?
That's a scary thought.
What are the protections?
There are, and our friends down in the United States. I mean, if you store some data down in the United States, Americans have what's called, the Patriot Act, and the Patriot Act came, shortly after 9/11 or around that time, and that basically allows the U.S. government to kind of go in there and say, hey, this data is stored on American soil. We want to look at it for national security reasons or whatever else they could come up with. So, that kind of stuff.
Which on the outside seems okay. That's reasonable.
It makes sense, yeah.
And yet, it brings up all kinds of other questions that we probably aren't going to address here today.
Of that, yeah. So how does Asigra come into the cloud, and how, basically, you're here joining us tonight. You're sharing some fantastic information, and so I need to ask, what is it that basically our viewers would do to look into Asigra? You mentioned about. Are they Asigra partners or hosting providers that use your software?
That's right. It would be if you were looking out for a cloud backup service. You would end up working with Asigra or touching Asigra's technology if you ended up backing your data to an Asigra-based service provider or a service provider that's powered by Asigra. And these could be telecoms, hosting providers. Your local friendly neighborhood IT shop might be delivering a cloud backup service that's powered by Asigra. And you wouldn't be engaging directly with Asigra. You would be using our software to collect the data from your site, deduplicate it, compress it, encrypt it, and transmit it over to, your friendly neighborhood service provider that's powered by Asigra, so to speak. And that's how you would end up touching our technology or engaging with it. And that's everything from your smartphone, Android, or iOS-based devices, all the way to your laptop or servers or databases or,
part of me,
operating system.
Part of me really wants to ask very technical questions here, Eran. I'll be honest. I want to talk about deduplication. I want to talk about the encryption algorithms that you're using and how your software works. And I'm sure there are viewers who want to know more from a real technical standpoint. Where can we get information about your software and how it works, what it can do for us, and basically an overview of why would we look at Asigra software versus the competition?
Right. Well, there's loads of information on our website. There's a YouTube channel. Asigra.com, ASIGRA.com, and if not, they can just go to our website, type in info at Asigra, and we'll engage with them and connect them with somebody that's local to them. Or if they're not really interested in buying a backup service, we'll just have a dialogue with them directly about how our technology works. If they want to try it out, we can make resources available for them to try it out and answer their technical questions.
Very good. Well, thank you very. Beg your pardon?
We're happy to.
Oh, see, somebody else asked another quick question. You mentioned Androids and iPhones, etc., 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 but you didn't mention Windows-powered devices.
Oh, Windows-powered devices.
We don't need to answer that question, Eran. Come on. I'm joking.
Supports Windows, Novell, Unix, Linux. Databases like Oracle, PostgreSQL, MySQL.
Cloud backup software, will it run on Linux?
The backup software will run on Linux, it'll run on Mac, it'll run on Windows, absolutely.
All right.
And it'll back all those stuff up, sure.
Fantastic. We'll just give one quick moment here, Eran, before we let you go. Are there any other questions that have come in the chat room?
Nothing that I'm seeing directly here.
Well, we gave you a fair chance, I think. And if you have more questions, it was info@asigra.com. You can find them on Twitter. It's at Asigra, ASIGRA. And they would be no doubt happy to have you follow them on Twitter. And it has been really great having you here, Eran, and thank you for joining us on Category 5 tonight. And appreciate all of the information that you've shared with us and the viewers.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me tonight.
Cheers. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care. This is Category 5 Technology TV. You'll find us online, www.category5.tv. And I encourage you to check out our website. We've got lots of cool features there. And it would be awesome for you to be a part of our community. So head on over, category5.tv. Cool stuff. That's interesting stuff. I've always been one for my own kind of personal cloud and learning about how we can share those resources across a service provider's system. It just makes sense. It's like how we host our website at a server farm. So to speak, because by doing that, we're able to keep our costs very, very low with our website because I'm not having to buy a physical server.
You don't actually have
physically
to farm.
host it. I don't have to host it on a backbone and install a firewall and put some blades in and keep it maintained and all that. Somebody else is doing that for me on behalf of possibly hundreds of other users. So the cloud similarly is going to be able to take those resources and space them out over multiple users, which is very cool. I know. It's past.
It is.
It's time for the news.
I'm thinking it's time for news.
Yeah. Take it away.
All right. Well, here are the top stories from the Category 5.tv newsroom. Microsoft has announced that hackers have exploited a previously unknown bug in its Windows operating system to infect computers with the Dooku virus, which some security experts say could be the next big cyber threat. News of Dooku surfaced in October when Symantec said it had found a mysterious computer virus that contained codes similar to Stuxnet, a piece of malicious software believed to have wreaked havoc on Iran's nuclear program. Government and private investigators around the world are racing to unlock the secret of Dooku, with early analysis suggesting that it was developed by sophisticated hackers to help lay the groundwork for attacks on critical infrastructure such as power plants, oil refineries, and pipelines. Where's that Pipolini's? Symantec researchers believe hackers sent the virus to targeted victims via Microsoft Word email attachments. Semantic researcher Kevin Haley told Reuters that if a recipient opened the Word document and infected the PC, the attacker could take control of the machine and reach into an organization's network to propagate itself and hunt for data. Due to some of the Deku code being the same as Stuxnet, Semantic believes they may be dealing with a sophisticated virus created by the same hackers. The latest installment of the popular Call of Duty video game franchise hit store shelves Tuesday. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, a first-person shooter set in modern times, was released at midnight. It's a direct sequel to the 2009 release Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which took in a record $310 million US in North America and the UK alone during the first day of its November release. The newest game picks up where the previous game ends and escalates into World War III. Activision says, touting gameplay innovations and other new features.
Can I just interject real quick?
You can.
I mean, this is really exciting
and
news.
You may.
But I know that you would want to do this to me.
Oh, heavens no.
He said duty. Duty.
What is this, the Family Guy? Is this the Family Guy? Where?
Call of Duty. Duty.
Okay. You want me to pronounce?
You can proceed.
How would you like me to pronounce it?
When I played Frederick in the Pirates of Penzance, they said, stop saying duty. It's not your duty under your indentures. It's duty.
With a Y-U?
Well, no, duty. It's not like where or who. It's just duty. Duty. It's got a little bit of a... But duty. I mean, my 4-year-old knows what duty is.
I don't think that's in the dictionary.
Puts a whole new spin on it, doesn't it?
The company also announced that it was launching a new social gaming network called Call of Duty Elite alongside the game.
I love this guy.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is rated M for mature, or IM for immature. If it's on your kid's Christmas list, keep in mind that it has intense violence, blood and gore and guts and strong language and reference to drugs. Okay, let's move on. Google has added Google Plus pages to let companies easily set up profiles for their brands. The Google Plus social network is still in its infancy, but is borrowing from Facebook's bag of tricks and offering everyone from small businesses to brand owners the chance to set up profiles. Google Plus pages can be added to users' circles, which Google claims can create lasting bonds with the pages. Log into your Google Plus profile today and see what pages can do for your company. And don't forget to add us to your circles by visiting cat5.tv/G+. That's PLUS. A Canadian research study has found that software bots can easily pass as real users on Facebook, allowing them to befriend real humans and mine personal information such as birth dates, addresses, and phone numbers. The researchers found that less than 10% of users exposed their birth dates on their public profile, but over 50% allowed their friends to see it. This information can be used for malicious purposes such as committing identity theft. Matei Ripenu, an associate professor in electrical and computer engineering at the University of British Columbia, who co-authored the paper, said his team has indications that similar automated networks are already at work on social networks such as Facebook. The study featured about 100 Facebook profiles automatically generated by a computer program which managed to befriend over 3,000 real users over 8 weeks. The fake profiles were used to collect personal information from about 1 million users, including friends and friends of friends. The social bots also sent friend requests to random Facebook users who accepted their requests about 20% of the time. Later, the social bots targeted users who had friends in common with them. In those cases, their friend requests were accepted up to 80% of the time. Once we have 5 friends in common, people don't check anymore whether I am a real person or not, Ripanu said.
Oh,
wow.
That's scary.
Actually, I'm a little tougher to say yes to being a friend.
On Facebook? You're on Facebook?
Yeah.
Eric's
see?
on Facebook. Okay,
See?
everyone, go and ask him to be your friend. He won't say yes.
I will not be your friend.
He won't be anyone's friend.
You folks from high school want to be my friends.
I think he's
I didn't
my
like
friend.
them back in high school. Why would you do it now?
He won't even let me befriend him on Facebook. And I thought you were good.
Jot wants to know if I'm a real person. Yes, in fact, Jot, I am a real person. But okay, you can get the full stories at category5.tv/newsroom. The category5.tv newsroom is researched by Roy W. Nash with contributions by our community of viewers. If you have a news story you think is worthy of on-air mention, email newsroom@category5.tv. For the category5.tv newsroom, I am Eric Kidd, and I am a real person. I am not a web bot. Or a friend bot, even.
I'm so glad to know that. The newsroom tonight is brought to you in part by PogoPlug, cat5.tv/PogoPlug, and Planet Calypso, cat5.tv/Calypso. Yeah, that news about Facebook is kind of frightening because I tend to... I'm going to be a little more cautious now, but I wanted to use Facebook as solely a way to reconnect with people from my past. So I have people that are like... from grade 3, you know?
Wow.
But here's what's scary is, before hearing that, just a few days ago, I had a pop-up on here from Facebook. The Facebook app has been letting me kind of access Facebook a little bit easier. Pardon me. And I had one pop up. I didn't recognize her name, but she had 4 or 5 people in common that were from my grade 3 class.
That, yeah.
So I thought, oh, well, she must have been from grade 3, and this just isn't her maiden name. And that's... Now I'm like, because I let her befriend me, so now I'm a little bit hesitant and a little bit afraid that we need to be a little more cautious, because with your birth date, like this you said in the news story, with your birth date, identity theft is pretty simple.
You know, a birth date, an address, and a couple other things. You can
your name,
pretty much be me.
Anybody.
Yeah.
So if you have your birth date only available to your friends, well, guess what? If you accidentally befriend somebody who you think is a real person on Facebook.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. Thanks for that, Eric. Now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight.
Sorry about that, pal. Yeah, I'll probably sleep well. I'm playing hockey after this.
Oh, yeah? You're probably on the ice nowadays. Like, this is the real deal here in Canada.
We've been back a month or so.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. Very cool stuff. We have received a couple of entries of stop motion video.
Oh.
Not a lot.
I'm looking forward to this.
Because it's a lot of work, I think. But Swiss Andy did send us their demo and said, well, this is my submission to Category 5. Basically, several shows ago, I did a stop motion with Hillary.
Becca was here for that. Oh,
Hillary was here.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And we just kind of goofed around and then said, hey, add your voices to it, and we'll show it on the air. So this is what Swiss Andy had sent in.
I am Zulu.
I'm scared.
Master of Category 5.
Nah, you're not. You don't even run Linux. Over here, check out my Ubuntu.
That's where Hillary whipped me. There you go. Be nice to your PC.
Is that whip?
Run Linux. Whip.
Whip.
Whip. Yes.
Like cool whip.
Cool whip. Mark the Tri-Geek decided, you know what? The whole Star Trek thing didn't inspire, but I'm going to spend some time with my son. I believe it was son. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark the Tri-Geek, who's 7 years old and directed this video.
Mark's 7 and he has a son?
No, Mark is a little older.
Jeez.
So this is what they came up with. They decided to use the software that we suggested and create this little animation with their Lego. I've never seen so many Lego towers in my life, just so you know, Mark the Tri-Geek.
Hey, I'm liking this.
That's pretty cool.
That's way cool.
Well done. The animation
Sorry,
is smooth.
Hillary, but this is way cool.
We were live, okay? They probably spent days doing this. We had 10 minutes.
They could kick both of your proverbial virtual butts there.
Oh, dear. They just keep coming, don't they?
Relentless, I think, is the... yeah.
That's cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Or unrelenting.
And not to mention, they had to build these towers. There it is, from Mark the Tri-Geek. And I love this. Look at that. The end. and a little wave. Fantastic stuff. So for those two, Mark the Tri-Geek, Swiss Andy, you took so much time to do that and send it in. I think 250 viewer points is a generous offer. So if you will take that.
Okay, so can we set up battles? You know, maybe Hillary versus the Tri-Geek?
There you go.
No.
Also, I got...
What the heck was that?
Well, this is a photo that came in. It says, "Hello. You always have a lookalike section of your show where people send in a photo of who they think your co-hosts or you look like on the show. So here is a lookalike photo of Sir Eric Kidd."
Wow, he looks pretty serious there.
He does look like Eric Kidd. No, you don't even know what's coming, friends. Ladies and gentlemen, the lookalike.
That was harsh. Wow.
That's uncanny.
Yeah. You'd have to be an expert to tell the difference. I should show my mom.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious.
That's an Eric bot.
There he is.
Don't befriend him on Facebook.
Wow. That is fantastic.
Okay, that was photo shoot day.
Oh yeah, you just decided to...
Yeah, I
go.
thought I'd
you were in
try
trouble.
to... Well, I keep getting told that I should try to act my age and act like more of an adult. It's not probably going to happen, but every once in a while I try for 30 seconds or so.
If you'd like to get some high-res photos of the Category 5 crew, visit our photo gallery on our website, category5.tv. The great sound tonight is brought to you by Music Pro, cat5.tv/musicpro. Check them out, give them a phone call, and they will ship devices direct to you. What is Music Pro to you? I mean, you are a musician, so guitars, guitar strings, picks.
Music Pro is all kinds of things to me. Not only is it, it's a great music store, and I know the guys. I've known Ted since he was, and Brian since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, actually crawling around behind the music stands. Actually, I used to work with George, the fellow who started that store. I worked at the original Music Pro.
Down on Dunlop Street.
Yeah, down on Dunlop. But before that, I worked at the predecessor to that. It was called the Bandstand.
Which was literally just a bandstand.
It was
in
a
the
music
middle of
store.
And,
actually, there was all kinds of that. It was back in the days of Fisa organs and stuff like that, and guitars, and lots of guitars and PA and stuff. But they cover all kinds of stuff now.
They really do.
They really try hard to look after people.
They've taken fantastic care of us here at the show. You know that we had some trouble with our sound in season 4, and Music Pro said, "Okay, well, we're going to get that all fixed up." It took some time. They figured out the best option for us, and the sound tonight is fantastic. And they will. They'd love to hear from you. Give them a call. Again, their website cat5.tv/musicpro, and you'll be able to give them a phone call and just say, "Hey, do you have such and such piano?" Or it doesn't even have to be that big. I mean, they have everything from lighting for DJs and whatever else. So do check them out.
This is just a little side note here. And a friend of mine, another musician, and I done some gigs with him. He had a catastrophic thing happen. His house burnt down.
Oh no!
And the folks over at Music Pro made sure that he had gear ready for his next gig.
Oh,
I mean, they
that's so awesome.
And they gave him a little bit of time to work things out with them. They were really good about it.
That's old school, my friends. That's the way things should be. That's the way things.
I thought I'd share that one.
They're good people over there for sure.
Yeah.
So there we have it. That
little primate, they said, didn't really look like me because it didn't have the canary yellow shirt that I was wearing a couple of weeks ago.
we can throw that into the GIMP if you like.
Monkey boy, nice.
Keep them coming, people.
I think I'm going to log out of the chat room.
You know what? You can. We'll change directions and we'll head into some viewer questions. Eric, I'll let you take that away. There's some email that have come in this week live at category5.tv if you'd like to pop us an email. I've actually got it up there for you. I prepped it. Yeah, see on the left-hand side there it says 15 email all sorted out. There you go.
I don't see
the tab. It's Firefox.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I found it.
Well, he learned something today.
Hey.
Eric just learned how to use tabbed browsing. It's 1986.
That's it.
All right. So, over the next week, I want you to make it your duty to learn.
How do you spell that?
DOOT. Why?
I think it was okay. Okay, hi Robbie and crew. This is from Kevin Morithi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's regarding Miro problems.
Oh.
And hi Robbie and crew. I guess I'm crew today, or is
your crew?
You could show the picture of the whole crew there. No, I guess not. Okay. So anyway, lately have not been able to download episodes using Miro. This is what changed. ClearOS was introduced in the network. That was one. Content filter turned on. That was number 2. Feedproxy.google.com added to exempt site list. Exempt site list has allowed me to add other sites successfully. What do I do next? Please send me an email since I cannot download or watch the shows live. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Kevo.
Kevo, is this?
Or is that Kevo?
Sorry. It's Kevo. Is this like a firewall issue or something? I haven't heard any other issues with the RSS feeds. This is coming to us from Nairobi.
Nairobi, Kenya. Wow.
Thank you for the question. That's an issue for sure. The thing that you could try is test downloading with a different RSS feed. So you can actually find them on our website. If you bring up our website, category5.tv. Here it comes. When you're on our website, you'll see watch the show, and then you'll see RSS feeds on that, pardon me, on that menu. So that's where you want to go. Here we go. Watch the show, subscriptions and RSS feeds. So in Miro, if the default one is giving you a headache and it's not working for you, I would encourage you to just try one of the others. Okay. Miro is probably defaulting to the HD feed here. Okay. You could try the SD feed. Would be the next one to try, which is still 854 by 480, and then there is the portable MP4. DivX unfortunately is deprecated, so it will soon be coming off of the site. So what you could do is you can copy the SD one, for example, and go copy link address, and then add that. It's in your clipboard now, right? See? So now you can add that to your Miro Internet TV. And we'll hope that that's going to start syndicating for you now. What's up? What's up, dude?
Oh, my. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry.
Eric just discovered virtual desktops.
Yeah. No, just... Well, my little scroller was scrolling randomly. Okay.
Oh, yeah? I remember the first time Becca, my wife, discovered virtual desktops. And she was convinced that all the work that she has done was gone. It just vanished from her screen. All of a sudden, the screen's blank. Right? Virtual desktops, of course, being our ability in Linux to switch over to another desktop. Right? So here I've got my internet browser up, but then all of a sudden, whoa, where'd it go? Everything's gone. So.
You're wild, man, Robbie Ferguson.
Wild.
Okay, here's one from Dan.
Hey, Dan.
And this is regarding a minimal install update.
All right.
Hello, Robbie and Cat5 team.
That's you. That's you.
I'm the team.
Dan, over the past couple of weeks, he's been experimenting with getting Ubuntu working on a micro SD card.
Oh.
So just to kind of fill you in, I think that's where he was at.
All right.
So, but no internet connection on his computer. So.
Well, that's not helping.
No.
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 My computer only has Wi-Fi as an internet connection.
There it is. Okay.
Okay.
Now it makes sense, though.
My running system with access was on the flash card, which I wiped. Whoops.
Oh.
The minimal CD doesn't get to any usable point where I can alter. It's at /etc network /interfaces or IWconfig, which would give me my internet access during or after install. I assumed, as the name implies, minimal gave you just the basics to set up a system without needing an internet connection. I do have an Ubuntu 10.10 DVD from a Linux magazine. Checking out its options, I found install Ubuntu in text mode. This is most likely what I need, and a trial run through proved correct. From this, you can install just a base system as long as you deselected any selected packages, such as GNOME Desktop. DistroWatch warns to use the alternate CD instead of the desktop CD, though. How to? getting a lean system with a custom Ubuntu install.
Okay.
And do you
so
have the link?
DistroWatch, yeah, well, I see DistroWatch has got an article that he's posting there. So, Dan, I'm going to put that in the show notes. If you're looking to do the same thing, Dan has provided a link on DistroWatch to that item. It's issue from, now it looks like it's from 2008, December 15th. So what I'll do is I'll post the link to that in the show notes for episode number 216. So if you're interested in setting up a similar thing to what Dan's been working on over the past couple weeks. Interesting to note.
Includes some suggested additional install packages too.
Awesome. So you were able to get it to go. So that's fantastic. I appreciate the update.
Well done, Dan.
I hope that we kind of directed you, and that was a kind of a weird one.
There's also, he's given us another link here to an alternate installer, details at ubuntu.com.
The Ubuntu alternate install.
There's a
definitely
link to
a good idea.
Text-based CD installer.
Yeah.
So GNOME Desktop is almost a gig. This should give me the option to avoid GNOME altogether. And a big smile.
Ubuntu.com is where you will get Ubuntu. And I apologize for my cough tonight.
Yeah, you should.
I was a little worried that I was going to have trouble tonight. I've been fighting it the past couple days, but I'm holding it down. Okay, so on Ubuntu.com, I've clicked on download up at the top. Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see, download and install. Scroll down a little ways, and you'll see alternate downloads or alternative downloads. And here's what you're talking about. This is what Dan is telling us. Alternate installer details. There it is. So that's the alternate installer, which is basically a text mode installer, so that you can do what he's suggesting, is to kind of nitpick and grab out some of the things like GNOME Desktop and be able to create your very own custom system. Well, that's very cool. Thanks for the update, Dan. And again, links will be in the show notes for episode number 216. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have another question here. I'm trying to see from whom. Well, I'm going to go with Voodoo Sandman. Leland. It's Leland. I remember Leland, from a few weeks back. Greetings, Technologists. Technologists, I like that. Could you plot a solution to force Netflix to run on Ubuntu? Keep making it so, number one, Voodoo Sandman. Hey, there's a pretty cool picture there.
Check that out.
That is
NCC 17. Do you know what that's from? It's got to be from a movie or something. There's no way that anyone in reality is creating that. Is that from one of the original? Yeah, no, that's like a mock-up.
Golly gee, it looks great.
So somebody's... That's fantastic, though. Did you do that, Leland? No way. Who created that? That's awesome.
Is Leland in the chat room? Are you going to talk to us and tell us who made that?
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, Agamotto says in the chat room, Netflix is convinced that Linux doesn't exist unless
it is being paid for. Yeah.
Which is, I don't know that it's quite true. The fact is
we
Netflix
can't verify that.
Yeah. We need to have a name to put the quote to. Netflix has basically said, they don't have a Linux working version because it's based on Silverlight in a kind of, in a post version 2 version. So Silverlight is Microsoft's kind of alternative to Flash and does a whole lot of stuff. Okay. But because they based it on this, you've got to have Silverlight installed. With Linux, you used to be able to install it under Wine, but then version 2, I think it was, came out, and now it doesn't work. So you can't do it under Wine. You can't install Silverlight. You could try installing open alternatives, but that also doesn't work because it doesn't support DRM. And Netflix requires DRM in order for you to stream the live media. So catch-22. So really, I think your only option is going to be virtualization. If you want to run Linux as your host operating system, you're going to have to create a virtual machine with VirtualBox, stick Windows XP in there. You probably got an old license off of an old computer, just that sticker on the side. Moonlight's not going to do it for you, Invincible Mutant, because it doesn't support DRM. So, Raptor 222, just expressing the same thing, that the Linux kernel doesn't support the DRM. So, that's a problem.
My goodness.
Yeah, so they really, you know, the choice is, you know, do they support Linux and step away from everything that their platform is, which is Silverlight, or do they just say, forget about the Linux people, which is kind of what has happened. There are petitions on the web. I don't know if they're ever going to make a difference. There's thousands and thousands of people who have requested it. You can pick up the phone, you can call Netflix and say, look, I'm a Linux user, I need Netflix on my device, otherwise I'm canceling my service. That might put a little checkbox that says, okay, one more person said it. Yeah. And maybe eventually they'll catch wind of it. But right now...
you have to back that statement up with actually canceling your service, don't you?
You really do. You really do. Order the service.
Or you could just, Rumpelstiltskin says, or just not use Linux. Problem solved.
Rumpelstiltskin doesn't know what they're talking about. I love you, but you're way off base there. I think sign up for Netflix. Yeah, it costs money, but whatever.
$8 or $9 a month.
So sign up, and then call up tech support and say, I can't get it working, and explain to them that, you know, you tried installing the software and nothing works and you can't find the links, and then let on that you're running Linux. And say, well, what do you mean? And everything else works. I've got Firefox installed, no problem. I go to the Firefox website and it installs. So why doesn't Netflix? Why?
A couple of folks are wanting to know what Netflix is. Well, that's.
Oh, really?
It's over the internet. You can use it with
TV streaming.
Your game machine. Your
like a PS3 or anything like that. Xbox 360.
And you buy a subscription and you get all the latest movies, etc., etc., etc.
Some of the open devices, like the Roku box, I think supports it as well. Some of those, the Cube thing from D-Link. You know what I'm talking about. So all those kind of support it as well. But you can watch things like Category 5. With Netflix, you can actually rent movies. You can watch TV shows live. But it doesn't work on Linux. So virtualization is your only option right now. You're going to have to set up a virtual machine.
Or as Rumpelstiltskin said.
No, that's not an option.
No. Okay.
No. You don't want Windows to be your host. You want Windows to be a guest that allows you to run. It's the same thing as I do with Photoshop. I have CS2. And sometimes I do need it, people. I really do. Not often, but I do. So sometimes I boot up that Windows XP virtual machine only when I need Photoshop. So you do it when you need Netflix. Make sure you have that little checkbox on in the display that says support 3D acceleration, not 2D acceleration, 3D acceleration, so that the interface is not like...
Voodoo Sandman, Leland found that picture. Just found it. There it was, just lying on the floor. Hey,
look at that. All right, well, I hope we have not breached 1 million copyrights today. If that photo was created by you, please let us know. Leland is paying the royalties tonight. So.
Yeah. Whoops.
It's like a $40 billion thing.
That could be.
Yeah.
Somebody said it was a shot. The picture is a still from shooting photos for ST movie.
Oh.
Last.
Oh, yeah.
That was Agmoto said that.
Yeah, new Star Trek movie's coming out very soon. Very soon.
Anyway, it was a cool photo.
Yeah.
And if we knew who took it, we would give them credit.
We would give you credit. Posted by Anonymous. It's like when you get those quote books and it's just anonymous. Well, somebody wrote it. Somebody said it.
Oh, we're getting some really technical questions now.
I said this really profound thing, and I don't want anyone to know who it is.
Oh, okay. Somebody want to know what kind of shampoo I'm using. My hair is very flat.
We've really gone downhill. About that last 1.5 minutes of the show, it's just, it's shampoo, and I think it all stems from people were thinking about how you were talking about duty earlier, and so they were thinking about
what shampoo did you use?
Oh dear.
Okay.
It's been nice having you here.
No, I have not been using Robbie's shampoo.
I just kind of wax once in a while. It's kind of coming in to keep me warm over the winter.
Was that a wax job?
Just right at the top. Yeah, it would grow in a bit. I just
we can do the road report. Bear to center bear.
Hey, D-Man. Thanks.
Sorry.
Some people are wondering why we're wearing poppies on our chest, and that's in remembrance of those who have gone to war to give us the freedom that we have here in Canada and certainly around the world. But we are observing Remembrance Day this week. on November 11th.
Yeah.
And just remembering those who have fallen at war and gone to war in order to provide us our freedom. And the poppy to us symbolizes
Lest we forget.
Yeah, our appreciation and our respect and our remembering. That's really, summary of what it means. So for those of you who were wondering and asking, good times.
All right. That's just about does it for this week.
That's it. Yeah. People, I hope you had fun. It's been great having you here. Nice having you here, Eric.
In the States, they call it Veterans Day. It's Remembrance Day here in Canada. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's great to be back. I enjoy getting back here every once in a while. So all the abuse I get on the chat room.
They're terrible to you. I know. Well, hey, you have a good week, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
I'm off to hockey now, kids.
Yeah.
Have a great week.
Yeah. Take care. We'll see you next. I'll see you next Tuesday. Good night.